Third Down Chirp is delivered by Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza. Visit papajohns.com today for more info.
Hello and welcome to Third Down Chirp, delivered by Papa John's. I'm Pat Boylan, joined by Josh Blessing and Chris Renkel. And Ball State is something they haven't been since 2008. That's bowl eligible, and guys, I don't know about you, but it's feeling pretty good right now.
Yeah, Pat, we're just walking around campus. You can really feel the buzz around everybody here at Ball State. Looking forward to see what the Cardinals can do down the stretch.
Pat, I know you and I talked at the beginning of the season looking at a new coach, very tough out-of-conference schedule. We didn't think it would happen this year, but lo and behold, we're reunited, and it feels so good.
All right, well, let's take a look at how Ball State got here last weekend, traveling to Ypsilanti, Michigan to take on a much-improved Eastern Michigan squad. Defense getting pumped up before the game. They would need a good effort today for the Cardinals to get the win. Early on, Keith Wenning going deep back in his own territory. Torrey Gibson beats the coverage. He would take it the rest of the way. A 94-yard pass and catch, the longest play of the year. But Eastern Michigan would come back as Alex Gillette on third down goes deep, as Jason Pinkston twists it around and for the touchdown as Eastern Michigan answers right back. And Keith Wenning, he'll do the exact same. He finds Barrington Scott out of the backfield, who makes one man miss, two men miss, in for the score, but they would lose Barrington on this play. Actually saw him get up on his leg. A broken fibula on this play. He is out for the season, so that not good news for the Cardinals. And Eastern Michigan with the deficit. More Alex Gillette as he hits his man over the middle for the score. Eastern Michigan goes back to take the lead over the Cardinals. And more Alex Gillette. He had a phenomenal day as he goes deep into the corner of the end zone for the score. That's Russell, and Eastern Michigan really in business. Now the Cardinals come back. They'd get a field goal from Steven Schott, who was great on the day, ended 4 for 4 from field goals. And then Jawan Edwards shifting left and right for the big running back. He's in for the touchdown. Cardinals going to need him a lot this year with the loss of Barrington Scott. Alex Gillette back. He finds Russell again. A big blown coverage in the Cardinals secondary. That's Russell's second score on the day. And Eastern Michigan firing right back. But Keith Wenning, he had an answer until this play. Threw it right at the Eastern Michigan defensive back. It somehow dropped. The Cardinals will survive and take a field goal out of that one, and that would turn out to be a big play. Now on second and goal, Eastern Michigan surprising here, a pitch play out to their running back, Javonte Green. He loses 4 yards. The Cardinals hold on third, force Eastern Michigan to kick. They would take the lead, but only a 2-point lead. So Keith Wenning, Mr. Comeback, trying to take his team back as he hits Briggs Orsbon there for the first down. And then Steven Schott, after hitting the first kick, but it being nullified due to a timeout, knocks the second one through as well. The Cardinals win 33-31. They're bowl eligible, 6-4 on the season. Let's take a look at the stats.
And there you see Keith Wenning doing what he had to do for the Cardinals to get the W. 20 for 35, 284 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns and just 1 interception.
Torrey Gibson there having a career day, 7 receptions, 142 yards receiving, averaging over 20 yards a catch with that 1 touchdown in the first quarter. Career day again for Torrey, and really becoming that deep that Ball State's been looking for all year.
All right, let's hear from a couple excited players after the game.
I mean, we practice every day, for that situation. Every Monday, coach throws me out there in a certain situation, makes me kick a field goal. So it's just like they were on the board, and they're just another day in the office, just trying to do my job.
We all know that we're capable of this, and we all believe in ourselves. So I guess more for the outsiders and stuff like that, they see it as a big, jump or change or something like that. But for us, we believe in ourselves and know that we're capable of that.
All our goals are still out there, win the MAC, get to a bowl game, and we're right on track with all of them. We just got to keep working hard and take advantage of this next. We got a long break here before our next game against Northern, and we got to get ready, got to get rested, got to get healed up, and we got to get back to work.
So once again, the Cardinals get the close victory, but once again, the defense is a question mark. Josh, is this defensive unit moving backwards?
Well, Ball State knew going into Saturday's matchup that Eastern Michigan liked to run the football. You know what? They really struggled to conserve Alex Gillette on the ground, 126 yards on the ground, 196 through the air, really a mobile quarterback that's able to throw the football down the field. I think Ball State struggled with that. They had to move their secondary back into like a zone coverage. It really allowed lanes for Gillette to move up and down the field. And you know what, Ball State, they did struggle on conserving on the ground, but you know what? They made key stops there in the fourth quarter on 1st and goal, and they really, they stepped up, they did what they needed to do, and they got the victory.
Well, see, the problem with playing Eastern Michigan and teams like Eastern Michigan with a mobile quarterback is the strength of Ball State's defense is in the interior triangle. You call it the inside linebackers and the defensive tackles. Now, the problem is with a quarterback like Gillette who likes to run it to the outside edge, those guys can't make it to the outside by the time Gillette turns it upfield, and that causes a lot of problems in space for the defense overall. So Ball State's really going to need to, they've struggled with that all year, but they really need to fix that coming up because they got more mobile quarterbacks that are really going to burn them.
Well, nestled in between Steven Schott's kick and the Eagles' running game was the day that Keith Wenning had another solid game for the Cardinals quarterback. He seems to really be taking that next step.
Yeah, he really continues to grow and improve each week, and I think it's a testament to him getting comfortable to Coach Limbo's offense. We saw what he did this Saturday, 284 yards, 2 touchdowns, really was able to stand in the pocket, and even though he took a couple hits throughout the game, you know what, he was able to stay comfortable and make the throws that he needed to do. I was able to sit down and talk with him just the other day about, taking those hits, and he admitted to me that, he was struggling there in the fourth quarter on that final drive, a lot of back pain from all the hits that he had taken, but you know what, he stepped up, drove the team down the field, and you know what, that's a testament to the player that he's becoming.
I think he's going to, if he keeps this up, he's going to have to make a chance to change his nickname from #Wenning to Captain Clutch. This is his 3rd game-winning drive of his career, the 2nd this season if you look back to the game against Buffalo. But Wenning's poise has really, to me, just been the factor of all of his success this year. You see him being very comfortable in the pocket, finding the open receivers. He's got great chemistry with everybody on the offensive line, his running backs, his receivers, really the whole team. And you just see it in his eyes. When he's looking downfield, he's not scared. He doesn't have that deer in the headlights kind of look that a lot of true sophomores have playing quarterback. He knows where his receivers are going to be, and if they're not there, he throws it out of bounds. He doesn't take sacks. He doesn't turn it over that much. Really improved and very impressed.
And you would never believe he was a sophomore unless somebody told you. Just a phenomenal effort again from Keith Wenning. The big negative from the Eastern Michigan game was the loss of Ball State running back Barrington Scott. Now the Cardinals have just 2 backs, Juwan Edwards and Dwayne Donegan. How are Coach Lembo and Coach Skrosky going to get through these next couple weeks down a running back?
Well, the Barrington Scott injury really hurts this team. The Juwan Edwards, Barrington Scott 1-2 punch, a power running back to a speed slasher kind of back. They really complemented each other. And I think, him going down is going to hurt this Ball State team. They've been, plagued with injuries so far this season a couple times. Second player in as many weeks to, have a broken fibula to end the season. Last week it was Jordan Hansel, offensive guard, when they faced Western Michigan. He's gone for the year. Now you have Barrington Scott gone for the year. We saw a little bit of Dwayne Donegan, a junior running back, hasn't saw a lot of time since he's been at Ball State. Only 157 yards total in his career. But you know what? This Ball State team's going to need to move on and find a replacement.
And they really have to, especially like the weather today. It's cold, it's windy, it's raining. The games aren't going to get any warmer as you move on through the season, so the running game is going to have to be even more and more of a factor, and they need that 3rd back. That's been the strength of this Ball State running attack all year is you wear one out, there's 2 more to take his place, but that guy to step up might be true freshman Horatio Banks. Coach Lembo said today in his press conference that Banks has been moved up to that 3rd spot on the depth chart. However, they're not taking away his red shirt just yet. They're counting on Juwan Edwards to shoulder more of a load here on out, but he is a true freshman. His body is not used to taking the pounding, so Horatio Banks is going to be there, but as Coach Lembo said, it's going to take an extreme situation to bring him in.
Well, knock on wood that doesn't happen where they would need Horatio Banks, but something tells me, knowing Coach Lembo, he'd throw in a defensive lineman before he wasted a guy's red shirt, especially this late in the season. Well, Ball State and Eastern Michigan, they were the MAC game of the week on Saturday. Well, I guess they were the only game of the week on Saturday in the MAC. Let's check out how the rest of the MAC fared this past week, presented by Fox College Sports. Temple taking on Ohio, a battle of the 2 powers in the MAC East. Ohio comes out with a late victory, 35-31.
Yeah, really big win for Ohio, capturing that 1st place in the East Division, just barely sneaking by Temple.
The struggles continue for Akron, Miami all over them, 35-3.
Akron's really struggled this year, Miami too, but the Redhawks able to get the best of the Zips.
Central Michigan playing another thriller at Kent State. Kent State holds on to win this one 24-21.
KSU finally catching a break. Central Michigan missing a final field goal there in the closing seconds.
The Northern Illinois Bowling Green, that was a game that was close for a while, but Northern Illinois pulling it out and getting out to the big win late.
Yeah, Chandler Harnish having an absolute monster game. He went over 1,000 yards rushing on the season.
Then 1 week after Toledo puts up 63 points, they put up 66 the next week. They beat Western Michigan 66-63, a barn burner that broke all sorts of MAC records.
Yeah, Rockets bounced back after that shootout against Northern Illinois, as you mentioned last week. Good solid win for them.
All right, let's take a look at the MAC standings, and you see up top the West, Northern Illinois and Toledo. Of course, Ball State's next two opponents not going to be easy.
And Toledo's win over Western Michigan is huge there. You see Western dropping down below Ball State with a 3-3 MAC record. Cardinals now control their own destiny.
In Ohio, you see there at the top of the MAC East, a team that Ball State had beaten earlier in the season. You know, that big win for Temple, moving them up in the top at first place in the East Division. You know, they're looking pretty strong right now.
Well, he's one of the smallest players in Division I football, yet week after week he turns in a human highlight reel performance. Jamil Smith made the move from local Muncie Southside to walk on at Ball State to a big playmaker and a prominent role in this offense. Let's meet Jamil Smith.
I actually got involved in football in Indianapolis. I lived in Indianapolis my fourth grade year with my mother. And, she got me into football, and then from there on, I've just been playing my whole life. Oh, I knew since I was young. My father and my uncles had me out when I'm about 4 years old running routes, so they wanted me to play football my whole entire life. I'm from Muncie, so I always supported Ball State, and Ball State was a choice. I had to learn how to run routes perfect, how to look at defenses, know what the corner is doing. So it was a hard adjustment, but it worked out well. The biggest challenge was just getting my shot, because you know they have scholarship players that they have to try to use. So getting opportunity was one of the biggest challenges. I used to what I am, small, quick, agile, to my advantage, and don't try to do nothing that's not me. As a team, I wanted to win the MAC championship, go to bowl games. Individually, I want to be top punt returner in the MAC, ranked in the nation as punt returner. Offensively in there, but I'm a team guy.
Well, now it's time for everyone's favorite part of the show, What's Chirpin', presented by Papa John's. Tweet us a question at Down Chirp. We use your question on the show, you win a free pizza. It's as easy as that. And the winner this week, Andrew Trisler. He asks, it's fourth down, fourth quarter, you're down 4 points, ball on the 2-yard line. What's the play call for Ball State?
Well, Pat, earlier in the season, Ball State was faced with about the same situation against Buffalo. 3rd down and 2. They had Juwan Edwards in the backfield. I would set up Jamil Smith in the right side, Willie Snead in the left, play a little bit of play action, have Willie Snead go to the pylon, loft it over there for an easy touchdown.
See, Josh, now I'm a little different. I'm all about the options on the goal line. This goes back to my Madden playing days as a coach, but you got to go with the shotgun, spread it out on the shotgun on the goal line, spread out that defense, then run a zone option read to Juwan Edwards. Now, if the defensive tackles bite down, they take away that run. So Keith Wenning pulls it, bootleg out right, and have maybe Briggs Orsman just do a 2-yard out, toss it to the end zone, touchdown, Cardinals win.
What do you call that play?
I call that the Renkel special. It works almost every time.
All right, well, I want to play you in Madden very, very soon. As the Cardinals prepare for Northern Illinois, Coach Lembo is looking at a team that has scored over 40 points the past 2 games each. Let's hear from the coach and his preparations for the upcoming week.
It's hard to sit there and say this is going to be a 17-14 game. So you have to find a way to get some explosive plays, whether those be on offense or special teams, and you've got to find a way to slow them down. And in those kind of games, turnovers become magnified, right? Because if you give them a short field, you know, if they're on track to score 35, now they're on track to score 50. You have to be at your very best at this time of year. And every team you play is going to have different strengths and weaknesses, and games are going to play out differently. But the bottom line is guys have to step up, and you have to be at your best in all three phases of the game.
Well, Ball State has played a lot of good quarterbacks this year, and the task doesn't appear to be getting any easier down the stretch as Chandler Harnish and crew have been putting up points by the bucketful lately. It's another mobile quarterback. How do the Cards stop him?
Well, I think it's safe to say that Chandler Harnish has really become one of the elite or the elite quarterback here in the Mid-American Conference. Last week we saw what he did, 6 touchdowns versus Toledo. He follows that up last night with 150 yards on the ground, almost 300 yards through the air. He's really a quarterback that's able to take over a ball game. We saw what he did last night in the second quarter against Bowling Green, and Bowling Green was never really able to catch back up. So I see Ball State putting a lot of pressure on him early, getting a lot of hits, getting him uncomfortable in the pocket, because Chandler Harnish is someone that you don't want to let him sit back in the pocket and get comfortable, because he definitely will pick you apart.
Well, here's the thing. You don't stop Chandler Harnish, you only contain him. And the key part of that is contain. This is something Ball State's really struggled with mobile quarterbacks all year. You have to be able to contain both of his games. Now, I think with Harnish, what you're going to have to do is contain the running part of his attack, make him sit in the pocket and try to throw the ball, because then you have a greater chance of maybe getting him in the backfield or forcing a bad mistake. You let him get to the outside like the Cardinals did with Alex Gillette, and he's going to run all day, put up over 100 yards rushing like he did yesterday against Bowling Green. So make him sit in the pocket, make him try to make things work with his arm, and then you have a greater chance of him making a mistake. Gives Ball State a better chance.
Well, it probably takes 2 hands to count the amount of times Ball State has faced a mobile quarterback this year, so hopefully they've gotten some good practice in and can apply that to Chandler Harnish on Tuesday. Well, the Cardinals offense, they put up 30-plus points per game the past 3 weeks each, so you can't say they're not getting into the MAC madness either. What do we expect from Coach Skrosky in this play calling come Tuesday against Northern Illinois?
Well, I expect them to be very, very aggressive. Northern Illinois comes into next week's game averaging 42 points per game, and then you have Ball State quite a bit less at 24 points per game. So I think it's obviously clear that Northern Illinois has a lot more weapons on offense, and they're very, very explosive, to say the least. Now, you can't, the Ball State was saying that, granted, Ball State cannot get in a shootout. Northern Illinois has scored over 40 points in a game in every single game this season except one. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you have Ball State, who scored 40 points in one game this season. So they have to keep, pick up the tempo, but stick with their game plan, and they should be all right.
See, whenever I talk to Coach Lembo, he always gives me the same answer about an offensive game plan. You can't change too much from opponent to opponent. You have to stick to your game plan, because that's what your players are most comfortable with doing. Now, what I look for them to do is take some of those shots down the field to open up the running game and open up the shorter passing game and keep them honest. We saw Ball State take advantage of that against Eastern with Toriel Gibson having a career day over 100 yards receiving by going down the field and stretching the defense vertically. But Ball State, I look for them to be exactly like they have been the entire season. Short, precise passes, maybe a little bit more 2-minute offense. We've had a lot of success with that, and I know Coach Lembo recognizes that, and he looks for them to use that more down the stretch now.
Well, who would have guessed it after the last 2 years of football here? But with 2 games left in the season, Ball State controls their own destiny, which means they win out and they're going to the MAC title game. Is it possible to stress how important this game against Northern Illinois is, considering Ball State has a lot of young players who haven't really played in many meaningful games this far?
Well, I think this game is huge for both Northern Illinois and Ball State. Northern Illinois, basically, both these teams control their own destiny. Northern Illinois, if they win out these final 2 games, they're going to go to the MAC championship. For Ball State, in my opinion, they need to win their final 2 games just to go bowling. Now, lots of people think if you get that 6th win, you're automatically destined to go, get a bowl bid. That's simply not the case. If you talk about momentum, a victory over Northern Illinois would be huge, especially going, hosting Toledo here at Schumann Stadium. That would create a lot of confidence for Ball State, because Toledo's going to put up a big fight.
And when you look at what this game would mean, this is another quality opponent Ball State has to face, and maybe they have a little more confidence going into this game, because they did beat Central Michigan earlier in the year, a team that beat Northern Illinois. So they have a good chance, I think, to beat Northern Illinois in this game. And the win, as you said, Josh, it's going to help them in their bowl quest, and it's going to just give them confidence. I think this game sets the tone for the rest of the season. Ball State comes out and plays well. Even if they don't get the win, they give themselves a good chance against Toledo and really impress some people, maybe making those bowl selections for a bowl at the end of the season.
All right, well, it's pick'em time, fellas. Who's your player to watch this week against Northern Illinois?
For me, it's got to be Juwan Edwards. Here's a guy, he's been, successful so far this year as a freshman. With Barrington Scott out, we'll see what he's able to do. A lot of the load is going to be put on his shoulders. I would like to see how he responds. I'd like to see Coach Limbo go to him early and often, get him involved in the Ball State rushing attack early, set the tone, get his confidence up, because he's going to be that feature back probably for the rest of the year.
When I look at this game, it's really going to come down to the defensive secondary, how well they play. So I'm going to go with Jason Pinkston. He's really struggled the past couple of weeks. We saw against Western Michigan getting called for maybe 3 or 4 pass interference calls. And he's gotten beaten deep several weeks in a row. So I look for Pinkston to not only play better one-on-one matchup with the receivers, but also he's got to be able to step up and make plays when Harnish gets outside of that defense and tries to scramble. So Jason Pinkston, my player to watch.
Well, for me, it's Tony Martin. Chris, you talk about that defensive triangle with Travis Freeman and the 2 defensive tackles that have been playing well. Tony Martin had maybe the biggest play the defense has had all year when he got that stop on 2nd and goal, the 4-yard loss, which inevitably led to an Eastern Michigan field goal. I'm going Tony Martin. We know Chandler Harnish is going to run the ball. He's got to have a big game for Ball State to have a chance, at least I think. Well, that should wrap things up for this edition of Third Down Chirp. Make sure to catch the show on Thursday when it airs at 3 p.m. Also, give us a follow on Twitter at BSU SportsLink and at Third Down Chirp. This show will air on WIPB in Muncie, also Comcast Indiana, and Fox College Sports. For Chris Renkel and Josh Blessing, I'm Pat Boylan. We'll see you next week.